Welcome to the MedSpa Growth Podcast. I'm your host, Noel Kresma of Soaring Marketing Solutions. Super excited to bring you the first episode of this new podcast. Want to dedicate this podcast and make it, design it for and strategically tailored and designed for med spa owners, practitioners, estheticians, plastic surgeons, anybody and everybody within the, beauty and aesthetics industry to help you guys, bring you guys the right strategies, systems, and real numbers to help you guys grow your med spa. I've been in business now alongside my brother, my partner, for over 15 years. We've been helping business owners in all walks of life, in all industries, locally and nationally, help them grow their business by installing not just marketing services to their business or their practice, but actually installing lead engines, marketing growth systems, and more importantly, a patient acquisition system to their practice to help them get to that next level. So, super excited to bring this content to you guys. We're going to be diving into different, value trainings, information, strategies with you, as well as being able to interview other med spa owners, as well as other leaders and professionals in the space to help you guys be able to grow your med spas. So, super excited for this to be the first episode. And it being the first episode, I kind of want to lay the foundation, lay the groundwork, and help you guys have the right mindset and framework when it comes to making $1 million in your med spa business. Whether you're looking to make your first million or looking to maybe add $1 million to your business, this is the podcast is going to help you break down the numbers to understand exactly what is going to take required for you to hit that $1 million. So if you're striving for your first one, great, more power to you because again, a lot of things I'm going to share with you guys may not have thought about, considered, or even applied yet to your practice. So you're kind of starting, at least with a good foundation. And if you already have made $1 million and you're trying to add another $1 million, the good thing is that then you can see where are the revenue leaks in your business. How can you fine tune them, and how can you apply these different strategies to help you guys, you know, fix up and optimize your business and integrate systems into it. Because again, it's not marketing and advertising having these different services that are disconnected, but it's about having a marketing system, a patient acquisition system in place to help you get predictable leads, get predictable growth, and predictable revenue for your business month in and month out. Because a lot of times when I speak to med spa owners, they don't know their numbers. They don't know what's the cost for acquisition of a new client. What's the cost, for a booked appointment? What's the cost to generate a new lead? What's their, LTV? What's the lifetime value for their client? What's their closing rate? What's the show up rate? All these different numbers and metrics that if you have them, it's going to help you guys fine tune and really install our patient acquisition system into your business and help you guys have the right, foundation to help you guys grow. So a lot of times, business owners, med spa owners, when it comes to marketing and advertising, they don't understand the numbers. So when don't know the numbers, they can't put a right strategy, they can't install the right system, and then that's when marketing becomes guesswork because they try to just start posting randomly online with no strategy. They try to run an ad campaign for a month or two or some type of special for for Valentine's Day or Mother's Day, and then hoping that's gonna help fill in the appointments and the calendar. They try to just maybe tidy up their website, but everything is changing. Everything's moving fast now with AI. It's just accelerating the growth of everything. But you gotta have the right partner in place to help you guys understand this and put it to practice and be able to get you guys the results you guys want to have for your business because you all have the potential to hit that $1 million mark. You guys have the potential to add another million. And one thing I want to dive in today's episode is knowing the difference between having a goal and a vision, a goal and targets. Goals are long-term vision that you have for your practice, whether you are looking to make $1 million, 10 million, 25, 50 million, or even $100 million. If you're looking to grow from one office, like one location, to multiple locations in your area, and maybe build it nationwide and have like, a franchise, or whether, you want to build up the portfolio and then sell it, exit it, and then move on to the next phase of your life. Those are long-term goals that we have. What we need to focus on is having targets. Targets are what's going to be measurable. And if we hit enough target of our targets on a consistent basis, That's what's gonna help us reach our long time goals. Because we all start the year, New Year's resolution, we all make more money, we all want to grow our business, we want all trying to make $1 million, be in good health, and spend more time with our family and whatnot and all of that. And it's great. But then we don't have the right targets in place to ensure that we hit those goals because the targets is what's going to be measurable, is what we can actually pinpoint and say, how are we projecting? Are we on pace? Are we on board? Are we on track? Or do we need to ramp up certain things to increase the numbers to make sure that we actually, in fact, at the end of the year, do hit that goal? Again, goals are long term, so you always kind of want to be moving the goalpost. That way, you're always going to be growing, optimizing, improving, and getting better over time. But we got to start somewhere. So I thought $1 million is a good benchmark for all of us to try to reach or increase our business by that number, because that's what's going to help us, to lead to further growth and expansion. So the thing is that most business owners, most med spa owners, they don't track the numbers. So that's where marketing becomes guesswork. So everybody wants to make $1 million, but no one actually sits down and does the actual math. So even before I start talking about, running paid ads and local SEO and those strategies, I want to start here with the right mindset and the right framework. Because my mentor taught me millionaire math guarantees the path. It's just that we don't sit down to actually run the numbers, do the math, because we all hated math in school. And math and numbers is just, gets us frustrated and, it becomes confusing. But we got to keep it in simple terms, simple math, is what we are going to able to do, need to do, require us first to do in order to be able to hit the targets that we want to hit. So yes, it's math, but marketing, business growth, it all comes down to numbers. The more simple that we can make it, the easier it's going to be for us to be able to attain it and be able to achieve, the targets that we have in place. So we don't chase goals, we hit targets. I don't shop at Target, I hit targets. So we don't chase the goals, we just got to hit the targets. As we're hitting targets, we're going to be hitting our goals. So I'm going to bring out the whiteboard. First time doing this, so bear with me on this first episode. But, I wanted to go ahead and bring this to you guys. Let's see how this works. So before we start anywhere with strategies and marketing, the first thing we got to keep in mind is going to be what's the target? Because the target is what's going to dictate everything. If we have the right target in place, if we have the right target in mind, and that's what's going to drive, client acquisition, help us get expansion, hire more people, afford trainings, for our staff to equip them, be able to get more devices, expand our treatments, all of that fine stuff. So having the right target in place is going to help us get, reach our end goals that we have in mind. So we never sat down and did the math, but a fun activity is how many different ways can we get to $1 million. For the most part, we're going to be selling services, or even sometimes what we refer to as high ticket. High ticket, it just means that we're going to be selling, bundles. Bear with me here as this little thing is kind of glitching on me. But, what's the numbers, How many different ways can you make $1 million? Obviously, let me move this over here. We just got to do the math. Okay, how many different ways can we make $1 million? To keep numbers simple, we can get one person to give us 1 million. Obviously, for selling our services, not likely, but 10 people can give us 100,000. 100 people can give us 10,000. We can get 1,000 people to give us 1,000. And as you see, as the number of people goes up, the dollar value goes down. So you got to see what's easier. And then we can do 100 people, give us 100,000. Sorry. They can give us 100,000. We can have, I said 10,000 people give us 100. My bad. I'm going up here in numbers. So it's just different ways, we can have 100 people, 100,000 people give us $10. Obviously, which of these seems easiest, Again, this comes down to our numbers. So for the most part, most of us are going to be over here, so that's just some fun there for us to kind of, dive into what does it actually take? What does it actually require for us to hit $1 million? You know, Obviously you can play with the numbers, as you see fit. I just kept in the multiples of 10 just to make it easier, but if you do 20s, 50, obviously if you do maybe 2,000, you need 500. Obviously, if you get $5,000, you need 200. I'm sorry. If you get $3,000, you need 333. So you just play with numbers again, but it's all going to come down to what is your average. I call it your average ticket price, or like what's like the average. Like I tell MedSpa owners, like customer, what is one customer worth to you? You know, I'd say sometimes, working with different MedSpa owners, you're probably looking somewhere between, average package, between 2,000 to 5,000, of course, depending what type of treatments, what type of, packages you bundle it, whether you're doing, body contouring, you're doing facial massages, Botox, fillers, laser hair removal, all those different services. So for the most part, you'll probably be somewhere between these two, be something somewhere between that range. Just for purposes sakes, for example, I just keep it, average ticket. I just do average ticket would be $2,000. So let's just do the numbers. So we do 1,000, we do 1 million, we do $1 million. Let me just erase everything, clear up space. Like I said, I'm just getting the hang of this right now. So we can do $1 million. I need one more zero. And let's do average ticket. Let's make it $2,000. So if we divide that, it's going to come out to 500 clients that we need. Now you can ask yourself, number one, is $1 million? Is this number attainable? Or has there been someone to make $1 million as a med spa owner? Are there people making that yearly? And some people can make that, you know, monthly, just depending on where they're at. But again, keep it things simple. Can we make $1 million? Yes. Is our average ticket price, 2,000? Yes. Can we land 500 clients within our area? For the most part, depending on where we're at, we're in our cities that we're based out of, we can easily get to 500 clients. If we start going more national, then of course that's going to be better because then obviously you open up the pool of buyers that you have in your market. But we got to first ask is this possible? Is this attainable? So if your average package, you bundle together is $2,000, a sale, you need 500 clients. So now let's reverse engineer that. Now people can understand that. Okay, they say, okay, I need 500 clients. So 500 clients, what does that translate to per month? That'll be 42. That'll be 42 clients that we need. That'll be 42 clients that we need on a monthly basis. Sorry. Let me just go ahead and clear this. It's kind of glitching here on my end a little bit, so just bear with me as I get the hold of this. But hopefully, you guys can get a piece of paper and be running the numbers yourself as well, just for example purposes. At $2,000, it's 500. So 500 divided by 12, that's 42 clients per month. Okay, great. That's about almost 10 to 11 a week. Is that doable? But most people just stop here, which is, okay, how many clients do I need? Great. But there's other numbers involved that we don't take into account because based on the clients that we need to factor in something sometimes we don't factor into things is what is our closing rate? Most people may say, oh no, I have a high closing rate. Let me stop sharing for a quick second. Oh no, I have a high closing rate, because again, you're not running any ads, you're not doing any marketing, you're not doing any advertising, you're not doing any promotions. You're just relying on referrals. Referrals are going to have a higher closing rate because people know you, they like you, they trust you. Your clients are recommending you because you did a good service, you got them good results. They like you, they know you, they trust you. So they're more geared to come in and be able to use have your treatments, use your services. So again, you're saying I have a high close rate. You gotta understand what type of traffic, what type of leads are you guys speaking to. If it's just referrals based, then you're gonna have a higher closing rate. When we start running marketing, we start doing advertising, we start hitting a cold traffic, cold audience. People that don't know who we are, don't know what we do, don't know if they should believe us, if they trust us. We haven't built any credibility with them. We're not an authority in our space to them until we start running ads, start getting them into our funnel, start nurturing different campaigns, having them exposed to our content, then that's what's going to help us to convert. So again, this is just for example's sake. Obviously, some people are going to be better than others. Let me go back. Let me just open up a new one. So we left off that we needed 42 clients. We needed 42 clients. But what is our closing ratio? Closing rate, closing ratio, whatever you want to name it. Just give it about 30% closing rate. So based off of that, we divide 42 by 30%. We actually need 140 appointments. 140 appointments that we actually need in order to get to the 42 clients. Are you guys with me? But not everybody shows up. But not everybody shows up. How many times do we have a book calendar? How many times do we have a book calendar? We have booked appointments, and then we're there waiting, eager for them to come in. Maybe you have like a gift package for them, welcome package. Maybe we're been working on our pitch, on our services. We have the room all ready to go. We have our staff on point, and then they don't show up. Another reason why most med spa owners hate marketing is because they say the leads suck because when you call them, they don't respond. They're not, responsive. They're not, they're too cheap. They're bargain hunters. They just want a discount. Or, if you're able to get to that point, then you know what? They don't show up. They don't come in. They book an appointment. They waste their time. We have, different service providers or, practitioners have to come in and they're ready for the appointment. And then they don't show up. And then you look bad. They look bad. And it's, oh, wow, just like a endless hamster wheel going round and round. So that's another reason why most med spa owners hate marketing is because if I get bringing cold traffic, go bringing people in here, and then they don't show up, then where do I go from there? So another thing we got to keep in mind is once we dive into, you know, getting the appointments, getting how many clients do we need, how many appointments do we need, and then what is our show rate? How many of those appointments that get booked actually show up? So next number we got to keep in mind is exactly what is our show rate. Just for example purposes, let's say it's 70%. Again, some are higher, some are lower. Lower. Again, if you have credibility built up, if you have reminders sent out with email, text, phone call reminders to confirm the appointment, if you're interacting with them and you get them to come and commit to the appointment, then you can, you'll have a higher number. But just say for purposes sakes, let's do 140 divided by 70. That comes to 200. So this is the real number that we got to look at is how many leads do we need? And if we have 140 appointments that we need, 70% show up. That means we actually need 200 leads a month in order for us to get those 42 clients. So again, this is the number. We're reverse engineering it. Remember I told you here, let me see if I can rewrite it back. $1 million. This is actually at a $2,000 package. We need 500 clients for 12 months. That's 42. Oops. That's 42 per month. So you see how we're kind of reverse engineering the process. We're kind of breaking it down to see exactly what are the numbers that we need to hit. What are the targets? So it's 42 clients, but we need to hit 200 leads. Because again, I just break it down here again. Simple. Summarize 200 leads, 70% show rate. That's 40 appointments that we need. I'll put apps, leads, 42 clients. And that's how we got to break down and run the actual numbers, So we actually need 200 leads per month. So this is where most med spas, unfortunately, get it wrong. Most med spas think they need more clients when they actually need to get 200 leads and have a system behind it to how do we generate 200 leads a month and how do we get 140 appointments and then how do we convert and close 42 clients a month? How do we get 10 to 11 clients per week? So this is where you're losing money because most med spas don't know their close rate and their show rate. And this is where revenue is leaking because you guys don't have any follow up. You guys have no confirmations. You have to SMS or email. You have no phone call that gets sent out, no voicemail that gets dropped. You guys have no nurture. You guys have no system. So leads are come in and then disappear. They ghost you. They forget about you. They don't come in. You don't follow up because oh my gosh, they didn't come for the appointment. Forget them. Screw them. I'm not gonna be chasing anybody. In reality, life happens. They could have forgotten. They had an emergency. They had a family commitment. The car broke down. They had a last minute meeting they had to go to. So many different things. But if we don't have communication with our prospects, with our clients, with the leads that we're getting, then how are we going to know this? So this is why it's important to have a system behind it, because you okay, how do I get, this is kind of like the framework that we use here at, I'll probably type it out, just kind of give you guys a different spin to it. The framework that we have here at Soaring High Marketing is trifold. It begins with searchability, visibility, and convertibility. This is the framework. This is what leads to our patient acquisition system. This is what it comes down to, is this framework. This is the framework. So we start with the first one, which is, how do we get more leads? How do we get more leads? The name of the game is leads. We need lead flow. This is where we come into search. So we can be talking about search. I really call it's really three tier, three-pronged. You have what's called, what's SEO. You want to have content, in social media platforms, and you want to be running ads. SEO dives down to your website, your online presence, your Google rankings, your AI. Can you be found on AI now? Can you be recommended? SEO now is about search engine optimization. So there's SEO, AEO, GEO. These are concepts which I'll get into in later episodes. But SEO is basically getting found when clients are searching. Content, it's about creating reels, images, behind the scenes, before and after, testimonials, having content on the social media platforms that people are going to look at, video, images, visual, audio, all of that. And then we got to be running paid ads as well. Paid ads, um, running, ads on Meta, on Instagram, on Google. The good thing is with our system, we're bringing cold traffic from our ads and our SEO to our content. And then our content, we're using it to nurture the leads, and our content can be used to convert the leads. Sorry about that. I'll maybe just type some of this stuff out. So when you have a true patient acquisition system, you have SEO, SEO, you want to have content, and you want to have ads. This is what's going to be able to fill, like the top of funnel. Gonna be able to make sure you guys get found online. People get to see you. You stay relevant. You stay top of mind. And I'll dive into the actual framework later episodes, but this is kind of where you want to be at. And then from here, your SEO and your drives content, ads drive to the content. So then that's how you get up. So this is what's going to cause you to increase your lead flow, is by having marketing and advertising moving and generating you guys those 200 leads. And again, that's going to be the first aspect of searchability mixed in with visibility. How do you guys stay visible? How do you guys get, in front of your ideal audience, your ideal customers online? It's going to be through visibility. So I do text, visibility. So searchability is all about being able to be found on the actual platforms, search, SEO, AI search, Google Maps, having reviews. Second framework is going to be visibility. This is when you have content on social, you're running paid ads, and then you're also running what's called retargeting ads. Retargeting ads is simply if you have a database of clients already right now, you can go ahead and then upload that list to Meta, and then you tell Meta to re-hit these people, retarget these people online. Anybody from your database, from your website visitors to your social views, you could take that audience and then upload that to Meta, and then Meta can then go ahead and target those people, retarget them. So if they connected with your content at some point, then they're going to be able to see you again online with your ads, and that's what's going to help them to get nurtured and convert ultimately. Because the more time that people are exposed to your content, the more likely that they are to be able to go ahead and convert to an actual sale or a customer or a client, for your business. So that's going to be the second framework that we have. And then the third one, which is having our, which is leads to convertibility. I'll move a little bit over. Convertibility. About having our AI receptionist in place, because that's going to be all about convertibility is all about lead response, having lead response time. So you want to have uh, an AI receptionist that can answer in real time within minutes after the lead has come into the funnel, has come into the CRM or into, exposed to your content, comes to an ad campaign, and a landing page, fill out a form, clicked on something, submitted a web form on the website. You want to have quick response time because speed to the lead is key. If not, they're going to go to your competitors. You want to have CRM, which has email and SMS campaigns built in. Also, once they book an appointment, you're able to then send out confirmations for them to be able to confirm the appointment. They need to reschedule, they can reschedule. You want to have basically follow up. You want to basically have some type of follow up on there as well. It's going to be the follow up. And you also want to make sure you have some type of, sales process in place. So this is kind of like the three framework when it comes to, building a patient acquisition system. You want to be able to be found online. You want to be able to be seen online on social and have content and be running ads. And then you want to have a way to be able to convert the leads that the system is generating. If we're all with me. So more leads won't fix a broken system. So the way that we can actually grow this is actually, we can either, going back to the numbers. Okay, well, remember we had the numbers, we had $1 million target, $1 million. We have a $1 million target. That means we needed to have a $2,000 ticket, 500 clients, 42 a month, 140 appointments, but clients per month, 140 appointments, 200 leads. You guys with me? This is numbers we ran through. So we don't just grow by getting more leads, we can grow by improving our numbers. So we can either, going back to the example, we can either increase this up, which will mean this will go down, or we increased our clients we need, but then that means we need more appointments. That means we need more leads. So numbers that we can improve upon, so that we can improve. This all comes down to sales and marketing. Well, I'm gonna put it backwards. I'm gonna put marketing and sales. This marketing is what I call, is about lead generation, plus sales is your lead conversion. So we got to get good at these two skills, because getting good at these two skills is just going to help us to we can improve we can improve different numbers. We can either increase we can increase our price, means increasing price, we can technically get less clients. We'll need less clients. We can improve number of leads, means we need better marketing, targeting, messaging. We can improve our sales skills or follow up. And if we improve show rates by having reminders, confirmations, lead response time improved. We can improve close rates, meaning we have better sales process to convert more leads. So that's kind of how it works. So we can increase price, we can increase close rate, we can increase show rate, we can increase leads, or we can bypass that and we actually develop recurring revenue, meaning we have now different set of packages, different offers, different upsells, cross sells that we can implement. If our $2,000 package is just for body contouring, okay, how do we mix in a facial, a body massage? How do we get them coming into a weight loss program? Different things like that is going to be able to increase our monthly recurring revenue, because now this $1 million changes when you talk about recurring, because now it's going to be something that's going to create cash flow for the business. So I'll probably let that be another episode, talking about how we can generate $1 million with recurring revenue for our business. So we have recurring, and then we can have, high ticket, mhm, high ticket sales, from our services, and then if there was a whole nother aspect of how you can make $1 million with just recurring revenue as well. And a lot of that can kind of come from your existing clientele that you already have. So as you can see, these are the numbers we got to focus on. This is the way that we can do so. Different services that we offer that we put within our system to help you with all three different stages to ensure that we're getting found, we're getting seen, and then we're converting the leads that our marketing advertising is bringing in. So a lot of these are just different services, which I'll be getting into and explaining more of, but I want to kind of give you just big picture so you guys can see exactly how it all flows and how it connects. Ways that we can increase, ways we can improve. So we're improving our marketing, improving our sales, converting more at a higher rate. So we can increase price, we can improve number of leads, we can improve show rates, we can improve our closing rate, or we can add recurring revenue in terms of subscriptions, memberships, different packages, different things that we can bundle in with what it is that we're doing, such as maintenance programs, IV therapies, massages, you name it, things that gets people coming back. So I'll stop sharing for a sec and then, yep. So as you guys can see, hitting $1 million is not complicated. It's just running the numbers, is just math and systems. So most med spas don't need more leads. They need better math and better systems. So where are you in the whole scope of things, Or hopefully this kind of a little bit of eye-opening. I try to cover it the best I can, even with the the whiteboard kind of, buffering a little bit. But you kind of have to sit down, analyze, and see where you are with your business. What do you need better help of? What do you need to improve? Do you need better math? Do you need better systems? Have you even sat down and run down the numbers, saying, okay, based on your business, okay, what are the higher producing? What are the ones that the services or treatments that are producing more money for the business? What's low hanging fruit? What's a higher tier that you want to get to? What's the sales process? Taking that client to the client journey. So if they come in for one service, how do you upsell them for other? If they come in for a weight loss program, okay, your program is X, could be a $2,000 one time. And then, okay, how do we get them cross sell, upsell? Once they start losing weight, they need some type of body contouring to then start tightening that loose skin from the weight that they're losing. How do we get them a facial right before the weekend? So when they go out, now that they're losing weight, their body's getting more, fine-tuned, more, contoured or sculpted. Then they want to start going out with their girlfriends and on dates, you know. Now they want to look good, they want to have a facial for the weekend, have that weekend glow, you know, and then you start introducing them to other services that you guys have, but you want to make sure you have that other process laid out, scoped out to see how it is that then you can increase the lifetime value of each client that you have. How do you, incorporate or integrate, recurring revenue? And then from each client, you want to make sure one thing that I forgot to leave out that I left out, collaborating is that from your current clients that you guys have, current clients, you want to be getting repeat business, want to get recurring revenue, recurring revenue. You want to be getting reviews and testimonials. And you want to be getting referrals as well. So you got to start dissecting your businesses. Okay, how do we get more business? How we get repeat business, how we get them to keep coming back for more, how do we get recurring, meaning that they keep paying us month over month. We need to be getting reviews and testimonials. That way, those can be marketing assets you guys can then use for content, for paid advertising, and for reviews on landing pages and funnels. And then how do we get referrals? So then our client acquisition cost goes down because referrals is like free money coming into. It's like, automated, automatic money, zero ad spend, infinite, ROI return, because again, you didn't pay anything to acquire that customer other than the money you may have, spent to acquire the first customer, which then brought you that referral. So this is something I kind of wanted to share with you guys. That way you guys can see how the whole system and the whole process works. I hope this is able to get you guys some more clarity on your business. Maybe see what are some of the cracks you have, where you guys losing out revenue. Maybe confirming show rates. You're not having a good sales process. You're not converting. You're not marketing enough. You're not advertising enough to really get 200 leads per month. Because again, that's the number that most business owners bypass is, okay, how many clients do I need, but how many leads do I actually have to generate to hit that number? And then based on the leads you got to generate, okay, what is the marketing budget that I need to have to hit those numbers consistently? And then as we're marketing, we're advertising, we're getting metrics, analytics, then we can start fine tuning, improving, optimizing the campaigns, the ad spend, increasing it as it needs fit as we're growing and scaling. So I hope this was helpful to you guys. So again, most med spas don't need more leads. They just need better math and better system. So if you guys need any help implementing any of the things I just shared with you, or installing this patient acquisition system for your business, comment below or DM me, connect with me online. We can set up a strategy session and take a deep dive into your business. We can even give you guys a free website and SEO audit report. That way, you guys can see how you guys are ranking up online. But this was the first episode of the MedSpa Growth Podcast. This is Noel, your host of Soaring High Marketing, helping you guys, give you the tools, the resources, the strategies, the know-how on how to grow your med spa. So it was a lot of fun. Hope you guys enjoyed it as well. Feel free to share it with any other med spa owners that you guys know. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you guys on the next episode. Over and out.